Good morning. Today we are doing Chapter 9, Lesson 11, Adding Mixed Numbers. So yesterday we spent some time talking about how to add mixed numbers by modeling. Today we are simply going to do the addition of that. So if you want to pause your video and turn to Chapter 9, Lesson 11. And when we're looking at the math in my world for today, starting with example 1. A hammerhead shark swam 2¼ miles. The next day it swam 1¼ miles. How many miles did it swim altogether? So when we were doing our modeling, what we were doing was putting our whole numbers together, and that's what's kind of taking place here. They're separating the two by saying 1 plus 1, and then here's the other one, and they kind of separated it, says right as the sum of wholes and fractions. Really, I think you guys can do this just by looking at your whole numbers. You know that 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. So if you come on all the way down here, there's your 3. And 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2/4. Just a reminder that when you have a common denominator, which is the 4, all you have to do is add your numerators, 1 plus 1. So 2 and 1/4 plus 1 and 1/4 is equal to 3 and 2/4. But notice that they wrote the answer 3 and 1/2. That's because if you look over here, it says they wrote it in simplest form. They divided by the greatest common factor of 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's how they get that 1/2. So the hammerhead shark swam 3½ miles. Here is how you can do this with modeling. We've got 2 and 1/4. Here's 2 wholes. That comes from here. And the third whole is from that second mixed number. That's where we end up with 3. And then here's a modeling of 1/4 plus 1/4. And you can see that that is half of that rectangle that's shaded in. Example 2. The diagram shows the length of a sea turtle. What is the total length of the sea turtle? So they show you in this drawing right over here, 7/8 of a foot, 3¼ foot, 1 1/8 foot. So what they're showing you is that the end of the turtle, or the back feet, when it's extended, is 7/8 of a foot. The length of the shell is 3 1/4 foot, and the length of the head is 1 1/8 foot. So it says to write an equivalent fraction for 3 1/4 so that the fractions all have the same denominator. As you look here, 7/8 and 1 1/8, they have a common denominator of 8. But 3 1/4 is not the same number. We've got 8, 4, and 8. So the least common denominator they're showing you here is 8. So you have to change 3 1/4 into 8s. To do that, we know 4 times 2 is 8, and whatever you're doing to the denominator, you also have to do to the numerator. So 1 times 2 is 2. So they come up with 3 and 2/8. So when you rewrite your fraction, you've got, I'm going to go all the way down here, we've got 3 1/4 that they changed to 2/8. It's kind of hard to see here, but if you look right in this area here, it says 7/8 plus 3 and 2/8 plus 1 1/8, and you'll notice all of these denominators are 8. Now you can do a proper addition. You can add your whole numbers. We've got a whole number of 3 and a whole number of 1. That gives you a whole number of 4. And then we've got the 3 fractions that are part of this problem. We've got 7/8, 2/8, and 1/8. When you add the numerators, remember we don't do anything with the denominator. It stays an 8. And 7 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 10. How did they get from 10/8 to 1 2/8? That's that whole going from an improper fraction into a mixed number. 8 goes into 10 one whole time, with 2 left over, and your denominator stays the same. Now you can add these together. You again have a set of whole numbers here, 4 plus 1, which we know is 5. Again, how did they get from 2/8 to 1/4? Over here, they're showing you how to write in simplest form. 2/8 is equal to 1/4 by dividing by 2. So even in your answers here and in the steps, they don't really give you enough boxes to show how they're going from 2/8 to 1/4. And I've noticed in some of the assignments, some of you are skipping that step. Don't forget when it says to write it in simplest form to do that. So the answer is the total length of the sea turtle is 5 1/4 feet. Guided practice. Here they're also showing you how to break this apart. Notice that they changed 2 1/2 into 1 plus 1, which is 2 4/8. Where's the step there that showed it to go from 2 1/2 to 2 4/8? So that's kind of skipped here. So they took 1/2 and they said, we don't have a common denominator with 3/8. There's an 8 as a denominator here. We have 2 as a denominator, so we need to get the same denominators. So they took this 1/2 and changed it into 4/8 over here by multiplying by 4. Now you can simply add it up. 3 plus 2 is 5, and then you have 3/8 plus 4/8. Hopefully everybody knows that that is 7/8. So you end up with 7/8. 3/8 plus the 4/8 is 7/8. So explaining how to simplify 3 6/4, we have an improper fraction here. In your flip books, you have examples on how to change an improper fraction into a mixed number. 4 goes into 6, or 4 divides into 6. One time there would be 2 left over. So the answer for 6/4, just forgetting about the 3 for a minute, the answer for 6/4 as a mixed number would be 1 2/4, or 1 1/2 if you simplify it. And 1 1/2 plus the original 3 would give you 4 1/2. Your assignment is the independent practice. Please, if you have any questions, be sure to let me know. Thanks so much and have a great day.